read and have fun. No time to wait. Open up your mind with markers, pencils, or paints. Hear what they have made. Savannah, Russell, and Jane with a podcast just for you. It's time for FanBrush. Artists with a lot to say. It's FanBrush. Listen, it'll make your day.
I've been talking to myself for the past minute. You can't hear me. You don't have headphones on. You have headphones on now.
Sorry. I got distracted.
It's okay. Traffic getting here was kind of a butt because it's market days and I forgot it was market days and didn't plan accordingly to drive around the square until I was like in the square. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't look at my mess. I'm not going to clean it up, but don't look at it.
I'm looking at it. At it.
The shame. Let's see. No, it's still messy. Looking for a better angle. It's not helping. Okay.
You can just do what I do and do this. Bye.
Bye.
Just fade from the camera.
We still have a lot of stuff in here from whenever we got the couch. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
Is that one of the cups you made?
Yes, this is one of the cups I made. This is actually just a boring cup. It doesn't have any faces on it. Usually the ones that have faces on it, I run out of inventory and I end up selling it on my website.
They sell out fast.
They do. They really do. I can't make them fast enough, honestly. And I should be like stocking up right now because it's, November right before holiday. And yeah.
You sound like me with my Etsy store. I haven't done a single like Christmas design. And it's like right around the corner and I'm just like,
It's not
okay.
It's not even just like doing it Christmas theme. It's just like having inventory for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done that either. So I totally feel you on that.
Yeah. But anyways, hi, I'm Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
I already know you, Russell. Come on now.
Nice to meet you. I'm Savannah.
Hi, Savannah.
Hi.
Ooh, Savannah. So we met at DR.
Yep.
A while, I came and would play in Texas. I'm here in SoCal, and I would love to travel to Texas all the time. But what is strange to me? I met him when he traveled to SoCal first,
Yep.
and then his second game was I went to travel to Texas, and he's like, "Wait a minute, why are you here?" It was very funny.
That is funny.
Those were my first handfuls of games where I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to flail at zombies.
Yeah.
Did that work for you? The strategy of flailing? I feel like that would be my strategy in a real life zombie apocalypse. Either flail at them or flail away from them.
I would just kind of like flail at them and occasionally like boop them and just be like boop boop and then like hide behind somebody else that had a shield because I was just like in 2 or 3 hits I'm down. Like, no. So I would just sit back and watch, and because I had a skill called rescue where I could swoop in, grab somebody, and both of us could get out without getting hit, I would just stand back and watch everybody else fight. And as soon as somebody went boop, I'd be like, you, me, we're going.
We're friends now.
Hi, my name is Russell. We're besties. Let's get away from the fight.
Super fun game. I miss it so much.
Yeah. Savannah won't do it. She's got a thing about zombies.
I do have a thing, as in I'm scared of them.
Oh.
And not like consciously, it's all subconsciously. Like, what was the name of that show?
The Walking Dead.
Yes. So like I started watching that with our friend group. Like we like made a thing of it because everybody was super excited. Like I think some people had like read the comics or whatever. And I was super excited. And I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. The characters are cool. The story's cool. Oh my gosh, what are they going to do? And then like every night after we'd watch an episode, I would have a nightmare, like a zombie nightmare. So I was just like, it's not that I don't like the show, you guys. Like when it was first ready, I was like, I got to stop watching it for my own like mental. So like I guess I realized I had like a fear of zombies, and it's like it's weird. I don't know.
I do have to say that the longer I've been playing the game for almost 7 years now,
Dang.
and super long, too long. No, it's great. I love it. That's why I keep playing. But it comes less and less about the zombies and more about the story that the world that it's in, rather than about it particularly a zombie LARP. And I'm sure Russell can say the same thing, but
Yeah.
there are zombies, but they're sort of like, oh yeah, them. Okay, let's talk about this politics stuff that we're doing right now. Or we're doing some religious thing because there's multiple religions in the game. Or
Mhm.
oh, let's talk about like this you know, because just quote unquote races, which they call strains, or I think they're called something else now.
Lineages
Lineages, and you know, there's people like, you know, let's talk about our lineage, and it comes less and less about zombies than anything else.
It's like, why did it have to be zombies? Like zombies, like if it was vampires, I'd be down. If it was like werewolves, I'd be down. Like it's just like zombies is like where I just can't. I can't. And like I bet you what would happen if I went down there and like play with y'all, I'd have like the best time, and it'd be like, oh my god, it's so much fun. And then like I'd go to bed that night and just have straight nightmares and nightmares and regret. That would be what would happen. So,
I do have to say, which is a reason why I come back to I think Bravado it's called now, is that it is a lot scarier than other chapters. I would have to say a lot of other chapters really turn it into a traditional LARP where it's about the, you know, the story of the players and the way that they're living their life and their characters. But Bravado, yeah, they try to kill you.
Oh yeah.
They're like straight up, you're all gonna die.
yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
There was one time it was like probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's a part in the camp where it's called the Crossroads, and it's basically a crossroads, and it's it's surrounded open area, and like nothing had happened for about a good 30 minutes or so, and so we're all just like, let's lay down in the crossroads, and so we did. And shut up, Amanda. And so we all like lay down and just stuff, and I'm starting to do that like drift into half sleep kind of thing, and I'm just like, I'm kind of aware of the world around me, but I'm also in dreamland. And then all of a sudden I hear this and I open my eyes, and like like in a semicircle around us is like a group of zombies just like staring down at us, and everybody's scattered like cockroaches in the light. And we're like, so many people were like, oh shit. And like I left all of my stuff, including my weapons, and I just booked it, and I was just like, ah. It was so terrifying. It was so much fun though.
I knew you were gonna say that, and you're gonna be like, but it was so much fun. I'm like, nope.
It's like watching a horror movie.
But you're in it.
Yeah.
Russell.
Or like being woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning because somebody's dripping with glowing stuff, being like, hey, I've hit you this many times. Are you dead yet?
Somebody woke you up to ask if you were dead.
Yeah, like somebody started hitting me, and I was just laying there, and I was just like, what? And it was like my first, like one of the times it was my first Bravado game, and somebody's just like wailing on me, and I'm just like, what do you want? He's like, are you in bleed out? Are you dead yet? And I was just like, yeah,
I'm dead.
He's like, can you scream for me? And I was like, fine. Somebody help me please. Was so apathetic about the whole thing.
You're like, I'm trying to, Bravado is on a different level than many other chapters, which is why I love it and why I keep going back. But some chapters are kind of like, we sleep now. We're gonna sleep now. We understand this is a horror game, but Saturday night we're sleeping.
That's why I sleep in my car now. So I can actually get sleep.
Well, if you ever come back to SoCal, you don't have to worry about that.
Anyway, how's everybody's day?
It's going great. We actually have weather here today. It's slightly raining.
It's raining in SoCal.
It's crazy. But I've been having a real relaxing morning. I actually did some pottery. I made some mugs. I got an order for a shop and they are asking for stuff. So I need to make it because all the stuff I have right now is going up on my shop, and I don't want to give it away or I don't want to sell it to a wholesale place if I've already taken pictures of it and things. It's kind of like that. That's like the draw of the line is once I take pictures of it, you're like, nope, it's staying in the shop. Yeah. The downside of making unique items is that if you want to sell it online, you have to take pictures of every single item. Yeah. So that's the one downside, but people really seem to respond to that type of brand, and it's worth it. And it does feel like every single piece is unique. You don't get doubles, and everyone feels like they get their own little guy. I don't know if you, Savannah, if you've seen my website. If you go to unique-clay.com, you can see my stuff.
I have not been to it yet, but Russell was telling me a little bit about it.
Yeah, I have three of her mugs. They're super cute and adorable.
Yeah.
And they make great gifts too. I've sent them to a friend and she loves it. Oh yeah, by the way, before we get into too much, this is the FanBrush Podcast. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Today we have a special guest, Amanda. Hello.
Hello. I'm Amanda Winter. I'm a potter.
My name is Russell, and I like art.
My name is Savannah, and I also like art.
Art is very good. Art is good. But yeah, so I'm a ceramicist. I've been making pots and pottery for about 15 years.
Damn.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've never been classically trained, which is something I regret a lot. But I've always been self-taught in the age of the YouTubes.
Yay, YouTube.
Yeah. So there's a level that I probably of pottery that I can't really achieve unless I do an apprenticeship. But for the most part, I'm enjoying my time doing what I can do and learning new things through the YouTubes. But I really enjoy it. It's been a long journey to come from just taking a class on the weekends to building my entire studio in my garage. And the whole reason why I bought a house in this enormously expensive city called Los Angeles to have my own studio. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, but that's really freaking dope, though. Like,
yeah, it is.
Move into a house and be like, the garage is mine. Okay, thank you, bye.
It was really funny with my family. They're like, you're gonna buy a house? I'm like, yeah. They're like, that's a great investment. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm buying a house, totally. And every time we would look at the realtor or bring us somewhere, they're like, this is the kitchen. I'm like, where's the garage? I don't care.
That reminds me, when we were looking for a house, we almost probably haunted really creepy house just because in the backyard there was this old garage. I think this guy had been working on cars or something in it. But that I was like, this could totally be an art studio. I can totally just put all here. We didn't get that house though. Somebody's realtor was waiting in the front yard when we walked out with our realtor, and he mafia style tried to intimidate us. He was my client's already put an offer on this house, so don't even bother.
If that was me, I'd been totally honoring it. Well, I don't care what you offered. I'm offering more just to take it away from you. I don't even want this house.
Step up, bitch.
I mean, honestly, I'm the kind of petty bitch that probably would have if I had money like that. If I had just had money coming out of my ears, I'd be like, you know what? I don't even want this house, but I'm going to buy it because it's your face.
Buy it, put it back on the market, $5,000 more.
Pretty much. I wish I was that kind of petty rich. That'd be great.
It's been obviously I wish I did pottery for a living, but there's no way that I could afford a house in Los Angeles without having a real job, even though I do make a pretty good stable income on my pottery. I am a web director of the Good Smile company that makes figurines for Good Smile. in Japan. So I run their website here in America. So another thing that I do, I don't talk about.
Fun.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's actually really interesting. It helped me a lot understand selling my pottery online by running a whole website that's selling figurines. Because at first I would just do fairs, which before COVID, I started feeling that selling your artwork at fairs is becoming a lose-lose proposition. I don't know if you had any other people talk about doing fairs with their art.
No, like it's something that's kind of like a little bit out of my realm of understanding because it's just something that like personally,
Yeah.
Like it sounds like a lot of effort to do. And like here in Wimberley, we have market days, like which is happening this weekend, which like took me forever to get to the office because as soon as I pulled into the square, I was just like, oh yeah, fuck. This traffic, hooray, so many people, why? But like just to have a booth at market days, like it's like $5,000 to $6,000 a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And like that's renting it from somebody else. And then like if you want to buy it, it's even more. And but like here in Wimberley, I guess like you could mark it up because there's a bunch of weird rich people that are just like, look at this weird knickknack, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, I have to say, okay, so a lot of people who are trying to make a living off of their art or try to start selling their work, often without, obviously not doing the online part of it, is they try to do fairs. And that could be either your weekly weekend fair or there are certain like big fairs that happen, craft fairs that happen throughout the year or twice a year. And I was in that realm for quite some time. I did it for like 5 years with my pottery and I had a lot of success. And I do have to say I did grow a little bit of a following doing those, but I would never really I'd make profit, but it was never really a lot worth it, like all the time and effort. And I was actually cutting into my delicious LARPing time because they were always on the weekend. But
it's like LARP or sell art.
Yeah, it was a hard choice. So I just started doing the math and I just come to the conclusion that I probably will do a fair here and there just to, if I feel like it, but it's simply not something that is going to be bringing in the money at all. And of course, now after COVID-19, going to a very public gathering is not, at least in California, is not a very good idea. Yeah. People are very scared and they don't want to go anywhere to go buy art. So I needed to really bring up my online game and I had to really think about how to sell my work. And I think a lot of artists who struggle to make money at their art don't understand how much effort it takes to sell their art online. You have to like have a business degree almost to figure out how to do it and how to engage with your customer base. And it's been really fun trying to figure that out and also figure out the day and age of this technology. I feel like I'm like talking about weird shit and this is supposed to be talking about art, but I guess it's sort of, since it's like about selling your art.
No, this is good. This is like totally good. Because like I feel like a lot of people do want to make a living with their art, but they just may not even know where to start or what it entails. So I think it's really good for people to hear like from somebody who's actually doing it, has experience, like what it's like,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was like, there's a certain degree of entrepreneurship whenever it comes to like, I was about to say writing because like, that's my shtick. But like with writing and art and you're trying to sell yourself, like whether it's like finding an agent or setting up a website, setting up Etsy or going to these fairs, like, yeah, there's a certain level of like business mindedness that you need to have if you're like going to sell your art in general, even if it's just like a side gig kind of thing, or if it's your main source of income. Like you need to understand like your worth in selling your artwork and like managing your time, managing your own business. Like early, a few years ago, a friend had an art show in one of the restaurants that I worked in, and somebody was just like, "Oh, cool! I love this like 5 by 5 foot painting you have. I'll give you $50." And she's just like, "Oh man, $50! Ooh, do I sell it or do I ask for 100?" I was like, "You take that 50 and you put another zero on there. That's how much it's worth." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, that is so much money." I'm like, "It is 5 feet by 5 feet. Like, sell it for multiple hundreds of dollars. Do not sell it for $50." She's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. Like, girl, come on.
$50. I'm not even sure if that would recoup the cost of the paint and the materials. And
Yeah.
like not even to mention like the time she put in.
No, like you could even like, and I think that was like a handmade canvas too that
Oh,
she had.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like you can't even use $50 to buy a canvas at Michael's that size.
Yeah.
Girl, come on.
That's another hard thing about figuring out pricing for your work. I actually struggle with this. Real potters think my work is extremely cheap. Or when I say real potters, I mean, I am a real potter. I make pottery every day. I have a kiln in my garage. I'm a potter. But but other classical potters, I should say, think my work is extremely cheap. And they're like, "Why are you selling it so cheap?"
Oh, okay. I was like cheapens like in quality. I was like, no.
No, I mean
No.
like most classical potters will sell a mug for $60.
Oh.
Yeah. And so when I would go to like these type of pottery high-end pottery shows, and I would have my work for a mug for like $30, and they would like scoff at me and be all like snooty. And I was like, whatever, it's a cute little anime face on it. Someone's gonna buy it and drink out of it every day. I want people to enjoy my work. That's one of the biggest things I like that I wanted to do with my work is I want you to live with it. I don't want you to be afraid to like break it or like keep it on a shelf because you're like, oh, if I use it, I'm gonna break it, and then because I paid all this money for it or whatever. Like, no, use it. If you break it, you just buy another one. It's the reason why I make useful things. Mugs are the most useful. I make bowls, utensil holders, and I just want my work to live in your life, to be a part of your life rather than just being something that's in your house that sort of collects dust, but be interacted with and enjoy your time doing whatever you do at your house with my stuff. And that's another factor I put in for my price point is I wanted people to feel okay that you could have this, within your life if in that by having it kind of quote unquote cheaper allows people to do that for me. Yeah.
I dig that. I dig that mindset of being like, this is like, yes, this is art, but this is also like utility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Utility art. Hey, util art.
Util art.
Util art.
TM trademark.
She stole it. Savannah, we have to go to California and knock her out.
Oh God. Okay.
Steal all our cups and pots and bowls.
Yeah.
And her kiln and her wheel and her clay.
That's a lot. How are we gonna get all that back?
We both have elements. We have the same freaking element.
That's true. I'll take the seats out. We'll be good.
Oh man. Oh Amanda, if you don't know, like we both have the same kind of element that's the same color and same year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like one time, like I think it was shortly after I got it, I stayed the weekend at Savannah's place and somebody else came over and was just like, Savannah, why did you park in the road? It's just like, no, my car's in the driveway. And they looked outside and they're like, wait, what? Oh.
Yeah, it's really crazy too because like my element is like a really unique color. I should say our elements are a really unique color. It's like a lime green. They're super rare. I don't know where you found one. Like I've only seen like one or two other ones. Well, I'm
You're like soul car mates.
Mm-hmm. Well, like just looking for them in general is really, really difficult because either you find one that's been in a wreck, you're just kind of like, I don't know, or they're like near $10,000. It's just like, oh, that's really expensive.
Yeah, every time like we go to the dealership, I think last time we went, we were looking for a car for my husband. The guy who was trying to sell my husband a car was trying to buy my Element. He was like, "Are you interested in selling?" I'm like, "No, get away from my car. She's my baby."
It's mine. No, could never.
No, she's mine forever until she falls apart. I even call it she because like that's how attached I am to my car.
So one of the questions we like to ask our guests is what was a moment in your life where you decided or like realized that you wanted to be an artist?
Oh, since I was born. Like I don't ever
You remember your birth?
Yeah, since I came out of the womb, I'm like, I'm an artist. Okay, so I am dyslexic. I'm super dyslexic. And I can barely, I have a reading level of a 4th grader or 5th grader right now. But so in order for me to be able to express myself or feel like I'm actually good at something, I would do things that didn't require reading, which is generally drawing and creating things. And also a lot of dyslexic people, view the world in a different way. And it's usually very visual or textile. And I feel like that because of that made me want to create things and, draw things, and which transformed later in my years into pottery. So I think I guess I was born to be an artist, but I think it's mostly because of my dyslexia than anything else. But yeah.
Like I feel that on like the mental health kind of thing, like being ADHD and like trying to sit down and like read like the other people and stuff, especially with what school gives you to read, just being like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, let's read about this kid that has the ability to turn things into chocolate that he touches. Like, this is a fun story. Sure. Like, it got weird. At one point, I was just like reading it, and I was just like, why are we reading this? This book is like body horror level crazy.
Yeah, different curriculum in Texas.
And like I think not until like 7th or 8th grade, I think it was 8th grade actually, one of my math teachers pulled me aside and like handed me the like a book. It wasn't Wheel of Time. It was some other kind of like fantasy book. And she's like, you need to read this. You would really like this. It's not like allowed. Like it's one of this. It's not in the library. It's banned from the library. But
was it? Was it A Wrinkle in Time?
Yes, A Wrinkle in Time. There we go.
Why was that banned?
Yeah, why was that banned from your library? I had that in my library.
Texas.
Like there were so many like weird books that was just like, yeah, this is banned in our library. I'm like, what's going on? And like,
we don't want you thinking them thoughts.
Thinking independent thoughts and thinking for yourselves. No,
can't have
don't
that.
do that. Rah.
Here, do the standardized test again.
No. Yeah, but like falling into comic books and art and anime and video games and stuff where it's a very intense visual medium and stuff where you can also explore these in-depth stories that like you don't get it's in school curriculum. Like I think that's a good thing for people with like ADHD or dyslexia, or any kind of like mental difference, to be able to like find a medium where they can express themselves and stuff, or point to a character and be like, I really relate to this character's story, and be able to translate that into art.
Yeah, I think another big factor in why I got into art was my mom. She was not a creative person at all, but she knew I was different and really tried to, since I was struggling in school and I couldn't really participate in a lot of things, she was like, well, we need to give her something that could be her own thing and that she could be good at, to give her confidence. And she would always try to like get me to, she's actually the one who got me my first pottery class when I was I was really young. I don't remember honestly how old I was, but she took me my first pottery class when I was really little, and I really loved it. And she was always trying to get to see like other things that could engage me, to get me excited about something, because I was so kind of, not really liking school at all, very disenfranchised with the whole process. So I have to say my mom did a big part in, helping me become an artist. I didn't tell her that at the time because I was an angsty teenager and boo. But nowadays I tell her all the time, like, especially when I'm live streaming and she like comes on and she's like, "Oh, hi, Dama." And I always tell my street people on my street, "That's my mom. She got me into pottery. Thank you, Mom." And she gets all like, "Oh."
That's so cute.
Yeah. I'm trying to make up for all the angsty teenager time where I was a horrible teenager to my mom. I'm like making it up for it now. But yeah, I'd say just being dyslexic and my mom trying to get me into something really helped me become an artist as I got into adult life.
Yeah.
So how long have you been selling your pottery? Like,
So let's see. I would have to say about 7 years. I've been trying to sell my pottery, and it's always been a real off and on process. So and I first started out selling what I like to call normal pottery, basic mugs and bowls. And I would make things that I thought people would like and want to buy. And that was not it. And so I wouldn't sell a thing. It was really, really disheartening and kind of depressing. And I'm like, you know what? If no one's going to buy my work, then I'm just going to make this weird shit, whatever I feel like it. And they're not going to buy it anyway. So whatever. So then I watch a lot of anime and manga, read a lot of manga. And I was like, you know what? I saw a couple of inspiration pieces on the internet. I'm like, yeah, this looks like fun to make. I'm just going to make these weird monster things with cute faces on them. And then I made them and people really responded. So it goes to show you, when you're creating art, being true to yourself is way better than trying to think what people might like, because that's not what they want. When they're buying your artwork, they want to buy a piece of you. That sounds a little weird, but they want to buy that uniqueness, that differentness, and you have to express yourself. You have to express yourself in your art, and that's what people want to see. So I just kind of transitioned to that like maybe 6 years ago, to making my monster guys. And I haven't really stopped ever since. Sort of doing online. I first started doing fairs, and then I started selling online. And now obviously with COVID, I exclusively sell online. I kind of skipped the whole Etsy stage. And went directly to a professional website. I don't know, because they have weird charging or whatever. And
yeah, a lot of people have issues with Etsy. I use it just because ease of use, because like my job, until I get to a point where I feel like I could handle having my own website. Right now, this is good because they take care of a lot of things, even though they charge you for a lot of things. It's like they take care of a lot of like the marketing and like the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm okay with it for now. But I have heard a lot of people like not like Etsy, which I understand. I get it.
Yeah, there's definitely cost involved that you have to pay for when you're running your own personal website. I use Squarespace. If anyone is interested, it's super easy. And I guess I don't want to like advertise someone that you're not on your podcast at, but
hey,
anyways,
Squarespace, pay us money and we'll support your shit.
They're super easy. You know what? It's super cheap, honestly. Where I was doing the math, which is in a bit when you're trying to sell your art, you have to, as you say earlier, be an entrepreneur and thinking about it in a very, monetary sense. And even though if you're like, I just want to make money off my art, like you gotta look at the numbers when you're doing that too. Were they charging you like a couple of cents every time? Like for Etsy, they were charging you a couple of cents every like month or something like that. And I was doing the math or something, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's like $50 a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, you have like some people have it, or you're gonna say something?
No, it's just like, excuse me, Etsy. Like,
Yeah, I think it depends on like how much inventory you have, like how many products you have, because there's like a listing fee that's like 20 cents per renewal or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you have like 100 products, and I think it's also like based on like when you sell. So like when you sell something, they charge you a little bit, but then they also give you like discounts on like mailing labels and stuff like that. And I don't know, like I haven't really sat down to the like math is not my thing. Like I don't like math. So
I
like
like math.
the Etsy thing for me was like, okay, I can just put all my information, put the pictures up there, and then like I'm done. Like cool. You know?
I could see that, but dealing, it's a little bit of setup up front, but I have to say that my Square Shape shop is just as easy to post things. It keeps track of your orders really like cleanly and nicely. And like the extra thing of shipping, I just got like stamps.com, which is you just go in, you type in the address and it magically prints it for you. And I was doing the math and I'm like, okay, tile this up. And it was like drastically cheaper than using Etsy. Like you had to do like a little bit of setup, like getting a domain name. And that's one choice. I wanted to have uniqueclay.com, but in order to get that, which I can buy right now, that's $2,000 a year. So I chose unique-clay, which was only $5 a year. So the domain name and like I think Squarespace is like $90 a year, and like it's $90 a year, and I can have as many listings as I like and sell as many things as I like. The only downside is I have to promote my own website. Since I've already gained a pretty sizable following on Instagram by building that kind of customer base from my fairs, that I could just, every time I post something on Instagram or Facebook, all my fans just go to my site and then buy everything.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was gonna say. I guess like the hard part would be for me is like getting like the following going, because it's the promotion side of it. Because Etsy does Etsy does do a really good job of like placing ads all over the place and like guiding people to your listings and things like that. So that's the benefit of it. But yeah, I would like to have eventually my own website. I've built websites before, like as far as like buying domain names and designing them and stuff like that. So I know I could do it. Like I'm not scared of that part, but like I think I'm scared of the promotion part. Like to me,
I was gonna say zombies.
I have to say, yeah, that scares me too. I'm a severe introvert. Yeah, only LARP. Outside of LARP,
Port extrovert.
So promoting myself has been difficult, but I think I came to the kind of epiphany during this pandemic is that everyone after my generation, I'm 35, just FYI, everyone after our generation, I think everyone has is becoming more introverted and have that type of like, I don't know how to handle social situations because everyone after our generation has lived their life through Messenger or chat or whatever, or texting or whatever format of text. And we don't really, I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm just kind of commenting on the way our society is nowadays. Is they have a lack of understanding of how to be in a social situation around people and having a conversation. And I realized like, oh, everyone's like that. So why are you so stressed out that you think, like if everyone feels awkward in a social situation, then you're fine. Yeah, because like, oh, everyone feels that way. It's not just me. I'm not just a weirdo. It's everyone. So, and that you could take that to marketing, and you're like, everyone is trying to market themselves in this pandemic on the internet. It's not a weird thing. It's just something you have to do now. Just like going to the store and getting groceries. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, because like I've kind of been in the same situation with my writing, because for a while, like whenever I was getting close to the end of the book, the draft that I'm working through right now, like I was going through a lot of like self-doubt issues and everything, and just being like, I'm never going to finish the book. Like it's never going to be good enough. I'm not a good writer. Like all I do is tell. I don't know how to show. Like, how am I going to write a 3-book series whenever I can't even get through the first book and it's not good? And then like back again to the free college of YouTube, hooray. And like hearing other authors and other booktubers and people that are in the midst of writing their own book, like share their grievances and share what's like on their heart and their anxieties about doing their art, and like kind of coming back to that extrovert introvert kind of thing, being like, this is, especially whenever it comes to something so like vulnerable and dear to your heart, like your art, it's just kind of like, all right, cool. Here's this wound I have. Please do not poke it. And that kind of helped me through my journey of like accepting the anxiety that kind of comes with creating stories or making my art, my drawings, and being like, it's about my creative process and doing something like something you said earlier, which I was just like, yes, was like making your art because people want to have like a piece of you, and pouring yourself into it and being genuine whenever you're making your art. Like these past few months, that's something that's been really on my mind, because we did a podcast a few weeks ago. No, not weeks, months. I don't remember how far or how long we've been doing this.
Time is weird in this COVID time.
Yes, time warp, whoop, whoop, where like the subject of what is fresh art kind of came up, and that's something that like since then I'm still like digesting and thinking and mowing over. And anytime like I bring up the question to other people or whatever, like it just comes down to like genuine investment and love for what you're doing. And as long as you have that mindset in what you're doing, like you can go far. And that includes like marketing, entrepreneurship, like your day job, like just interacting with people. Because like that's why it takes so long to like get into the introvert's bubble, is like they have to figure out that you are being genuine and loving, or that they can take you. I know that there's been some times where Savannah, like I used to live with Savannah for a year. There'd be some times where Savannah would just be like, can you go to the other room, please? I'd be like, well, why? She's like, no, just alone time. I'd be like, okay, bye.
But you know, it's not that I don't love you. I do that with Bryce, and I'm married to him. I'm just like, get away from me. Just go somewhere else.
That was a conversation that we had like the first 3 days that I was there, and Bryce was just like, hey, I'm gonna do it, Savannah's gonna do it. If you need alone time, you say alone time, and everybody will leave you the fuck alone, because I expect you to leave me the fuck alone.
Oh, Bryce, he's so straight and to the point. I love that about him sometimes.
He's great. And like to kind of like pull it back into what you were saying earlier about like, okay, everybody kind of has this like anxiety and stuff. Like as long as you like even if you don't want to talk about it and stuff, like you can find other people talking about those same kinds of anxieties and stuff. And it's just kind of like, I'm not alone. Like I'm not the only person with a mental difference trying to write a book. Cause like one of the dudes I follow is dyslexic, and he's writing a book right now. And he's just like, yeah, it takes a lot of time. Like I do this YouTube thing too, and I'm trying to write a book and I'm dyslexic. Like it's kind of challenging. And I'm just like, thank you for saying that, because a lot of people are just like, you just need to write every day. Like sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes it's just kind of like, I'm going to stare at the carpet and pull at this fuzz for 2 hours.
That was very specific, Russell.
It's happened.
Okay.
My version of that is wedging clay.
What is wedging clay? Like I should know what that is, but the only thing that comes to mind is just like having like wet clay and just being like
that's exactly what it is. Except I pretend slightly that it's somewhat useful. So whenever when I'm throwing or or it dries out or whatever, I can recycle my clay. If it doesn't quite turn out the way I want it, I'd be like, fuck this, or screw this. And
You can cuss. We cuss all the time.
Okay, great. I didn't know whether that was a thing. Anyways, so sometimes a piece doesn't quite turn out what I want it to be, and I have to destroy it. And I got to recycle the clay. In order to get the clay like prepped to be reformed into a new pot, you have to wedge it, which is like getting all the air out and everything like that, which is just basically like doing this a lot. And I'm like, I don't feel like doing pottery, so I just sort of wedge clay, and I just go in the studio and just sort of like, okay, I was somewhat productive. Go back to being lazy.
Okay, I have a question about this, because I think we all go through this thing where we're just like, we should do art, and then we'll go and like kind of poke at things like on our art stations and then like run away from it. Do you ever feel like guilty about doing that?
All the time, every day. Especially because, I set a goal for myself. And that's one of the things I tell you when you're really seriously thinking about becoming a professional, whatever artist, whatever that might be, is setting your goals of what you want to do. And you set those goals for yourself and you try to hit them. And usually being procrastinating on things is meaning that you're not meeting towards that goal that you set for yourself, which it makes you extremely guilty. I see you both nodding your heads, so yes.
I don't think we've ever talked about, like, we talk about like procrastination, it's like not doing things.
A little bit, like we touch on certain things here and there and stuff, but like even in these talks on the podcast, like we get distracted and talk about something completely different. Like me being a wild, chaotic child and sending my mom through hell. Like whenever you're like making up for the angst of my teenage years, and I was just like,
I'm like your poor mom.
If you haven't listened to any of the episodes, like I talk about like me eating rocks and my mom like fishing them out, my brother's killing snakes and putting them on the back porch and being like, Mom, look what we did. Or like getting into the rat poison, bonfires, getting in fights. David jumping off of a ramp and busting his mouth open.
Half of your stories, I'm just like your poor mom. The other half, I'm like, you're lucky to be alive. How did you make it?
I mean, I feel like my mom would be more happy with that than dealing with a super depressed, like, teenager / like middle schooler. It's like, why do I exist? Everything is terrible. I was one of those super depressed, wear black all the time. Everything is terrible. The world, like,
I'm black in Southern California.
Oh yeah. Emo.
It's like wearing black in Texas. We did that too. It's like stand outside in like the humidity and heat and being like, yeah, this is great fashion.
Gotta be
so gosh, I lost 5 pounds.
I was definitely one of those kids that, like, what do you call it? Like, how kids are angsty and depressed. And I'm like, well, my depression is legitimate because I actually have a disability. And I'm so glad I got out of that phase.
Teenagers are the best.
Teenagers.
No.
So we got off topic, like I was saying about procrastination, getting off topic. We were talking about shame and guilt with art, and I'm writing it down. Shame and guilt with art.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like we talk about procrastination and stuff like that, but I don't know if we've actually ever like talked about how we make ourselves feel when we do that, because it's our fault and we're doing it. Like I'm pointing at myself, like I do this too, and then like I sit on the couch and I watch YouTube and feel guilty, and it's a terrible cycle.
Like I have some thoughts about that, because I was actually thinking about that this week, because I'm rereading Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is a great book, by the way. If you're listening, buy it, listen to it, it's awesome. And like one of the things that he talks about is like motion versus action, where it's like if you're learning about the thing or like looking up YouTube tutorials or just kind of like making plans or to-do lists or goals, like that's motion, but it's not action. It's like actually getting in there and doing it is action. And then it's like that kind of disconnect between the two, because you can still get like the same like, yay, I did something, from like making to-do lists and plans and being like, all right, cool, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes around and you're just like, this carpet fuzz is really interesting. I just want to like, how big of a ball can I make with carpet fuzz? And then it's midnight.
I don't know
I feel attacked.
Let's see, how do I deal with that? My biggest problem is since I have a full-time job and I do a lot of my pottery after my work, I have to do a whole day of work and then get home and then find the motivation and energy to work on my art. And I have to say, that's really hard. There was a point in time where I did do art professionally, where I was living off of my pottery for about 6 or 7 months, and it was glorious. I could set boundaries of like, this is my work day. I did pottery and things like that. But I was making enough to survive and to pay my bills, but I had an offer to work at the job I am now to make stupid amount of money, and I could not pass it up. But anyways, yeah, getting the motivation to do a whole nother day of work after a regular work is really hard for me. And when I don't, I do feel really guilty. I keep telling myself, is, someone who does battle with depression, that if you don't do art, you will get depressed. You're not feeling great right now, but if you don't do it, you will be really depressed. And that kind of motivates. I kind of play that trick in my head. It's like, you don't want to do it now, but if you fall into the cycle of not doing your art because you're depressed, you'll feel even more depressed. And then you fall and go deeper and deeper. And you're like, just get in there, go, just do it. Just force yourself. I'm going to make a bunch of shitty pots, because when I'm not feeling great, I like fuck up and it's just terrible. But then you get in the rhythm. I'm like, okay, then I'm like back on the horse and I'm like, okay, I got this. It's usually how I force myself, is you can play mind games in your head of really knowing who you are and then trying to like trick yourself for making sure you do your art.
Yeah.
So, are you working from home right now because of all this COVID stuff?
I am not. I'm going into the office, which I am the only one there.
Oh, cool.
That's almost as bad though, right? So you have to go in the office and just sit by yourself. Oh, you like it? Okay.
Well, also, since I do work, I need to have that like work art separation. So if I did my regular work at home, I would never stop working. Like, what?
Savannah recently had to move her office from what is now the studio to the kitchen.
This is the room I was working in as my work job, like sitting here at this computer I'm talking to you right now. I was working all day here, and then I was literally like logging off and turning around to that table behind me and trying to do art there for like 6 months.
Yeah, no.
I would complain about it on the podcast like all the time. And then I finally, just within the last, I think, month or so, I like moved a bunch of stuff into my kitchen, which there's really not room there. I'm like stuck in this tiny little corner, and like it's kind of terrible because the sun like beats into my face like at a certain time of the day, but like I wouldn't change it because I don't have to be in this room working anymore. So yeah, so that struggle is real, and I'm so happy that you don't have to go through that.
3 months. I did it. I worked from home for 3 months, and I was like, nope, this is it. I'm going back to the office. And I'm sort of like the boss there, so I can kind of do what I want. I do have a boss, but they just let me run the company however I see fit. So, which is kind of nice. Yeah. When I say, I don't.
Well, that's really cool, because that's also like a confidence boost too, because like as artists and stuff, like whenever somebody kind of like gives you that freedom wherever it is, like that makes your day. That makes things easier to come home to do your art. Because like whenever I was waiting tables, like it was such a downer being like rushing everywhere and using all of this energy, and then having other servers, the bosses, and even guests come into the restaurant just absolutely degrade you. And then to go home and just be like, all right, cool, it's time to like work on the book or do art or smoke a bunch of pot and drink some alcohol and actually feel good. Yeah, terrible. But now, like working at the tile studio, like, yeah, I'm still using the same amount of physical energy, but by the time I get home and stuff, like there's still a happy desire to create and to do stuff. And like, even if it is for just like 30 minutes to an hour, like drawing or writing, like I can have that time now. And I've kind of gotten into the habit too, which has helped out a lot. Cause like whenever you do get into those spots where you're like, I don't feel like it, but this is the time that I've set aside every day for the past month to do that. Like, even if it comes out crap, like I still need to do it. I can complain the entire time, but whatever, do it.
I think what a lot of creative people kind of miss the point on of being a creative person is they don't utilize their creativity in everyday situations.
Ooh, explain. I like that statement because like I'm like, yeah.
So when you're going through the creative process, you're kind of making connections in your head that are not normally made, and which why a lot of people who aren't very creative are marveled at, because they don't understand that you are, whether you're telling a story or whether you're drawing a piece, you're imagining and making these connections in your head, and then you're putting it on your chosen format. You can use that same creativity to problem solve. You can use that same creativity to figure out how to do a new task. You just have to figure a way in your head of how to channel that onto a new format. Like let's take why my company really likes to be, why I run the company I do for my real job, is that I am that creative. I use my creativity that I have for my art and I apply it to a business sense. Like let's say I manage the company from top to bottom, from marketing the website and from getting orders out with a whole team, and then trying to create different parts of the website to make it more manageable for customers. So when you have a problem, you're like, okay, this thing is happening and I have A, B, and C to solve this. What would be the best way to solve this problem? And so I kind of use that creative mindset in my head. And actually, even sometimes my LARPing experiences, I put on my managerial hat and be like, okay, I'm going to LARP being an accountant. I'm going to LARP. You know what I mean? You kind of like, okay, well, I've never done this before, but I'm going to pretend that I am until you actually become that thing. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with creativity. And like when you're saying like, oh, I'm not a math person, you are. You're putting up barriers around the creativity you already have.
Ooh, she just read you.
Creative people are people who have no limits. Only when people are like, oh, I don't have any creativity. I'm like, you do, you just don't realize it.
Yeah.
You do, like everyone has creativity. It's just that throughout the years and the way that our children are taught, they slowly kind of beat it out of us.
They try to.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
For someone like me and for Russell, we're so out of the norm that there was no way that they could beat it out because of our dyslexia and because of our ADHD. We had to think outside of the box. And that's what really creativity is, whether it's, drawing or whether it's coming up with different ideas. It's the same type of like grain of whatever inside your head that helps you make connections that normal people don't make. And our normal schooling system tries their best to put those blockades in our head of like, oh, you can't do it, or you have to do it this way.
Or
Every
at this time, like art class was earlier, it's time for something else now, like stop doodling in your book.
Yeah. So, as a grown up and as I live in life, you start to realize how much life is a choice, how much a part of how the way you live is up to you. And people don't realize the type of situations that they're in are sometimes a making of their own. And you have to break down those walls, whether they're physically there or whether they're mentally there. Is you have to, think yourself out of it, work yourself out of it, and create those connections, mentally and physically, to be a creator and to build yourself a world that you want to live in, whether that's, whatever that is. Is that making sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense to me. Because when I started writing the book, and like from beginning to end, whenever I was living in Guatemala, and one of the things that really spurred me on was like a month into like living there and stuff, like I was reworking the outline one more time, and I just was like, man, I don't know, maybe. And then I signed up for a hike near the house that I was staying at, and it was a volcano hike, where you like spend one day going up there, you camp on the volcano, and then in the morning you go all the way up to the summit, and then you like trek your happy butt back down. And I had talked to some other travelers and just being like, hey, how is it a Cacatenango? And they're just like, it is one of the toughest things that you will ever do in your entire life. I was like, great. That's amazing. And I would look at it, and I have like a little bit of fear of heights, and I was just like, so how's the incline, how's the heights, how's the view, like how's that? And everybody's like, oh, it's not bad. Like you're climbing at a 45 degree the entire time and stuff, and sometimes it's like a little bit more, it's a little bit less, like the view's great, it's not bad. And I was just like, okay, sure, let's give it a go. And yeah, they were right. It was one of physically and mentally and emotionally and somewhat spiritually too, like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. Because like right before lunch, like we had been hiking maybe 2.5 hours. In that last 30 minutes, like it's a steep incline, and it's this volcanic sand dirt that's incredibly loose. And every time you step, like you could go a foot and lose 6 inches super fast. And so you just get into the mindset of just like right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. You just go. And like that last little hill to get to lunch, like my knees were wobbling, like I'd go like 5 steps and feel like I was about to collapse. And then I finally got to lunch and like pulled out my food and started eating and stuff, and I was like, this is awful, why did I do this? But like by the time we finally made it up to the summit the next day, like even like hiking in the dark in that dirt is scary as shit. Like getting up there and watching the sunrise and seeing like Fuego, which is like a kilometer away, erupting and shooting lava and like lava rocks and stuff. It's just kind of like I did this awful, horrible thing to my body that I didn't think I could do like yesterday. And like you learn that, your limits are breakable, your limits are passable, and you can keep going. You just have to take care of yourself in the process.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people only use that kind of metaphor physically, but it's the same logic applied mentally. And that could be for your art, that could be, learning a new task that you didn't think you could do it. The human mind and the human creativity is only limited by the walls you put up yourself.
That is a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
Like you're in a maze of your own design.
Correct.
Oh man, that's what?
Nothing. I just saw the moment your mind was like blown, and it was an amazing like
because like I'm super imaginative and I'm always in my head. Like there's been times when I'm writing and stuff, and it's just like I feel like I'm in a wall, and then in my own imagination and stuff, like I'm at a dead end in the middle of a maze, being like, how do I get through this wall? And to like kind of comfort myself, was just like having this imagination game of me like destroying that wall so I could move forward. And there were tons of times during my writing where I would do that and there would be like another wall right behind it, like a foot later. And I'd just be like, no, no, no. And then like just trying to get through that in my head. And then like either like get super frustrated because I have to keep doing this. And I'm just like, I'm tired of these walls. Why are they here? And I just like flip everything and then just go into the other room and eat a snack or go for a walk.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta take a break from these things. Like you said, you gotta take care of yourself when you're on this type of physical journey. You do have to do the same thing for creativity and mental health. Is you got to take care of yourself. If you're going through a turbulent mental time, it can't be all go, go, go all the time. You do have to take breaks and kind of reaffirm who you are and things like that. So go through that. Got to take those breaks. Got to eat those snacks.
What about you, Savannah? Have you had like those like limit breaking Final Fantasy do moments in art?
No. I think, like my problem, and I'm working on it. I am working on it. I have a lot of like mental blocks from like past trauma that stop me from like taking that step to break down the wall. I just find the wall and I'm like, fuck. And I just like, you know what? That's fine. I'm going to go over here now. Like, but I'm working on it. That's not the way I want to be. I think that like, wasn't ready for this question.
Is this turning into another therapy episode?
They're all therapy episodes. Artists need therapy from their friends and from actual therapists all the time. Like I feel like that we're so like the stuff we do is so like intertwined with like our own selves, like emotionally and just like mentally. I feel like it's very easy to tie it to your like self-worth, and like that's something that I do, and I don't like, it's not a good thing, but that's like something, and I can't be alone. Russell's like nodding his head right now or whatever.
I'm agreeing.
It's like, I try to be really honest with my answers. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I bust through walls every day, don't even worry about it, because that's totally not me. I'm like hitting walls left and right. I'm surrounded. I'm just in like this room with no doors and no windows. Like that's me. Like
I just imagine Savannah as a Roomba. Just like,
the walls. I'll find the door eventually. No. But it kind of is. But no, like I have little things here and there, like setting up like my art space and like anytime I sit down and actually do something nowadays is like a victory for me, because like mentally I'm exhausted, especially right now with and I know everybody's like feeling this like current situation, but as it goes on and on and on, like I find it harder and harder to actually like sit down and like dedicate time to actually being creative, because I don't know, like I guess part of it is like this kind of time right now feels so serious and so like crazy and like terrifying that it almost feels like frivolous to sit down and make art and paint pretty pictures and do things like that.
It isn't.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay. Even doing like crappy creative things, like having that moment to indulge in a creative process helps end the stress cycle, so that way your body can truly relax.
Correct.
This is probably true.
It's true. It's true.
It is true. It's like I don't know where my
your head is.
No, I don't. I really don't. Like a lot of times, like it's right here, but like where is it? I don't know. I've got a lot of issues right now, Russell. I'm working on them.
So a little bit of advice that I experienced that I've had is I obviously have gone through therapy to deal with the depressions of childhood and blah blah blah, and honestly, my flippant attitude about it is how I deal with it. So excuse me, I'm sorry, it's a very serious situation, because people do have issues and it's very critical for them. But what I've learned in therapy is that you have to have a good dialogue with yourself and not lie to yourself. And that's, I feel, with with a lot of people that I understood who have a lot of turmoil about who they are, is that they're constantly lying about who they are and not being honest with themselves. And once you start being honest with yourself, you can start problem solving your own issues. Which I sit down, I'm like, I feel this way and I'm feeling bad. And you're like, okay, let's sit down and think about why we're feeling bad or sad. And you're like, okay, let's list them off and talk about it. So I have like my own therapy session in my own head, and talk about, okay, you're feeling this way because of A, B, and C. Can you solve any of those things? Yes or no? And you're like, oh, if I can solve them, let's work on it. Come on, let's get going and solve these problems that are causing you to have these feelings. Or if you can't solve it, then how are we going to mitigate the feelings that it's causing you to feel this pain or sadness or whatever it might be, anger or whatever feeling that's being negative in your life that you are right now. And you're like, and usually my solve is art, making pottery is my outlet. But starting out is having a good conversation with yourself and not lying. And you know that you're lying because you can't lie. You really can't lie to yourself, but you can. But you know that you're lying.
Like you can and not and stuff. Like your body believes you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Like when you say I am not enough, like your body believes that you are that statement is true.
I also think that part of my problem at this current like moment in time is like I'm currently in therapy right now for like really the first time in my life, like actually truly being in therapy, and it is kind of fucking me up. You know what I mean? Like, you have to break shit before you can like put it back together. I'm currently in the getting broken into little pieces bits, and my brain is just like all over the place.
You're doing the clay thing. What is that term called where you're doing
wedging?
Yeah, you're in a wedging moment, Savannah. You're being recycled. You're being wedged.
I like how you brought it back. Yeah.
Well, I think all artists kind of need to do that. And I think that's something that is something that I see like 50-50 that some artists do and some artists don't. I like, because I want to say like it's lacking, but at the same time, it's kind of not. And I wish more artists would like kind of talk about that, because yeah, you do need to experience those feelings and like for the appropriate amount of time, because like if you hang on to it and stuff, that's whenever it festers and becomes infected. And it's just kind of like, okay, this like memory emotion bubble over here has become diseased, and like it's going to take more work to take care of. And like pouring it, I think that's where a lot of like the pouring yourself into art and like attachment of your worth with your art kind of comes from. Because whenever you are going through that self-wedging moment and you are creating, like as you're processing those feelings, it's just like, this is my writing. Because like whenever I'm in those moments and stuff, like I'll write or make up stories and stuff. Like even if it's a problem I can't solve, like I will make a personification of it and still kick its ass in my head and be like, there we go, took care of it. Yeah, eat curb. Boom. Kicked your ass. Fireball, fireball, fireball. And like writing it out and stuff. And then after it's just like, all right, cool, it's done. And like it, like I also use that in like my faith practice too. Like whenever I'm talking to God and praying and stuff, like I'll still use that and stuff. And like, because in the Bible it's, bring everything to God and stuff. And it's just like, all right, cool, here it is. You do with it what you want. Like I'm gonna move on now, just so I can unload. But yeah, there's also that kind of tie-in of fear of while you're in that situation making art, being like, are people going to look at this and see the growth that I've made, or are they going to judge me and see that like this is who I am now? I just went like, oh, or I feel like that.
Yeah, I think one for me, I did a lot of, especially with my pottery, is I tried in my head to separate my art from me. Even though I'm pouring my feelings into the art, I don't know, it's something, since it takes so much effort to physically make, while I'm physically making it, I'm pouring in who I am. But after it's done, I kind of like let it go. Like if no one buys it, I don't care. Like, whatever. It's like, I don't know how I did it, but I kind of like disconnected my self-worth from my art after it was finished. And it helped me a lot to also market my work when I stopped thinking about it as a part of me.
I think that's a skill, though. Like that whole
Yes.
thing where you separate your worth from your art. I think that's like a skill that you have to like work on and stuff like that. So that's really cool that you've been
Yes.
able to do that. I think I'm like there most of the time. I guess. I don't know. I think I'm there. Russell, what about you? Okay.
Okay.
That's my answer.
I think it's the whole kiln. Russell's gonna understand this. But like, so there's a whole process. It takes hours and hours of work to make a pot, and then I put it in the kiln. And once the kiln is done and open, it's done. It's not me anymore. It's gone through the whole transformation of becoming a pot. So physically having that process maybe helped me with that, is that once it's gone through the high fire, it has disconnected from who I am and now is a separate entity that has nothing to do with my ego.
That's really cool. That's cool that you have like a physical like actual moment of like separation. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hit the
I'm a
start
little
button.
jelly.
The disconnect burns away. I think that's really cool because it kind of like brings up like, should there be like a moment in the creative process where you have that kind of ritual of letting it go? Like one of my friends said, art is not complete until it has been abandoned, because like you will continuously work on it until like you let it go. And I think like that's kind of cool because then like that brings up the thought of like, after you're doing something, should there be a part of the creative process where you do like have that let go ritual?
I think it's helped me a lot having that ritual in my work. And it definitely helped me start not tying my self-worth of how many pots I sold or whether that pottery sells or whatever. Gives me like, oh, well, I took pleasure in creating. I don't take pleasure in selling. It just so happens that my pottery does make money. It's just like a sort of like an after thing, added bonus, I guess.
Yeah.
I also think it as a way of like, oh, I have all this pottery, I got to get rid of it. Otherwise, I'll just pile up in my house.
We talked about that on a previous episode, how like we basically like have to be okay with getting rid of our art, because if not, it just like surrounds us and we're just gonna have to live with a million canvases or whatever. Russell,
Don't look at me. In my previous apartment, whenever I lived in downtown Plano, like every inch of my walls and my doors, all of my apartment was covered in art. Like I painted the cabinets, I painted my doors, I painted the back of my door, I painted on the door frames, I painted in the bathroom, like all over my room. And like, then I painted tons and tons and tons of canvases where it was just everywhere. I remember having a friend over one time and she just kept like looking at everything and like acting like she was going to sit down and then not, and then just kind of like go over to, I'm like, girl, are you okay? She's like, it's like a museum. Like there's always something to look at. But it was great because whenever the holidays rolled around, because it didn't have any money, it'd just be like, okay, cool. Let's take these 15 canvases off the walls. Here's your presents, everybody.
There you go.
So, Amanda, do you want to become like a full-time, like self-sufficient artist? Is like your goal to like eventually like stop having a day job and like do your art, or are you cool with it? Do you like having it as like a side business?
Absolutely. I at one point I do want to become a full-time artist ceramicist. I'd love to go to Japan and like study under a master to become even better at pottery or ceramics. What I'm fighting with is that I have a very good career working in the industry I'm working in right now. And it's so hard to say no to a lot of money. I know it's really like probably bad to say in this day and age right now. But I think what my goal is to secure my financial future, and to build enough money to sustain myself financially. through properties and things like that. And then I can concentrate on being a full-time artist. But I'm still going to sell pottery while I'm still working. But I think it'd be really great where then I really don't have to worry about selling my pottery. I literally can just do whatever type of creative process I want. And I just, if it sells, then whatever. If it doesn't, then I'm okay too. So yes, the answer is yes, I do. But I want to build a kind of like a life that allows me to be free to create whatever I feel like it.
Okay. Do you feel any sense of like does that bring you guilt too? Like saying that you're doing the responsible thing and like saying like, hey, this job is stable and it gives me money and like, you know, but I have to kind of put my art on the side for that.
Yes. Absolutely. I have a lot of guilt about that because I said earlier that I was doing pottery full time. Like I was making a living off of it. And I did get offered this job. And I actually said no. They offered me the job and I said no. Russell's like, what is wrong with you?
Oh man.
And then what happened?
And I don't know how to articulate any of them. Continue.
They offered me this job and at first I said no, I'm going to pursue a career in art and I'm going to be a full-time artist. And I thought about it for 3 months. And I thought about, you know, my future in my retirement and things like that. And I knew that my life would be a lot more difficult when I get older if I suddenly gain arthritis or something happened to me. If I got like sick, I could not afford to take care of myself if I decided to stay a full-time artist. So I called them back and say, you know what, I will take that job. And now I'm going to build that safety net that when I'm young and I know I can do both at the same time and so when I do get older, I can quote unquote retire and then make pottery for the rest of my days while not having to worry about, you know, paying for a lot of things. In you know, that's just decisions you make in life. I still call myself an artist. It's not like I'm not doing artwork. I'm still selling and creating pottery. I'm still trying to work on that. So it's not, I feel a little bit guilty because I can't really say like, oh yeah, I am a full-time artist and I make money off of my art and that's all I do. But I still am an artist. I still do create. I just make most of my money from a quote unquote real job.
I love your plan because like I so relate to that because I'm kind of in the same situation where I'm working like an office job, but actually and trying like I don't feel like I'm as far along as you. Like I haven't figured out how to like find the balance yet. Like I haven't found the make yourself do art and find the time and make it a routine kind of a thing, but I'm working on it. But like I totally relate to that whole like make the mature and adult decision to have like a day job while you're trying to figure all that stuff out. So that's because I experience like feelings of guilt for not committing more to my art and not just saying like, you know what, fuck it, I've got enough money in the bank to hold me over for a few months, let me just go ahead and try to do this thing and just like go for it. Because I know there's stories out there of people who've done that, like quit their corporate jobs and just like gotten like full on into art and they're like, I make my living as a full-time artist. And I'm just like, man, that sounds amazing, but dang, that sounds scary. Like no thank you. Like
yeah,
no
but those
thank
are
you.
also kind of like rare stories of people that had the luck to get to where they are. And like what?
Go ahead.
Anna did her like disappointed sigh.
No, it's not a disappointed sigh. I hate the word luck. I really do.
But there is like
I think luck is like, I'm with Amanda on this. I'm not a big fan of the word luck. I will say that it might be like something like timing. It might be like, I think timing is a lot of it. Like,
yes.
Like they've had opportunities. But I know that like the people that have said that they've quit their corporate jobs and they've been able to make it as full-time artists. Like, I'm not saying they didn't work really, really hard, and they probably actually worked harder than you would at like a day job. I'm just saying that like I'm not brave enough to do it. And like yeah, like I would like to do it, and sometimes I feel like I should have done it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like time to do that is like in your early 20s when you're too like stupid to know what you're doing. In a way, like you're too naive to like know that like, hey, maybe you should like look into like a 401k and retirement plan, because my brain was not there. I'm just saying, like my brain was not there in like my early 20s. Like I think that I missed my opportunity to be that crazy, like, hey, I'm just gonna do this because I can eat ramen all day long and whatever, who cares about sodium intake? Like
so there's a couple of things I want to hit on here. Where's those?
Are you gonna hit on me?
No, ooh, I know your type, but yeah. But I'll hit on what I don't like about when people say, "Oh, they just got lucky," is that implies that some magical thing is going to come about and give you your dreams. And that's not how that happens. You have to work your fucking ass off to get where you are. There is no magical luck monster or luck fairy that's going to come around and give you the life that you want. You have to work. No, you got to work hard, and you have to create those situations, and you actually have to see. That's the one thing. I read this book, and you probably heard about it. It's called The Secret. And really what it boiled down to is that it tells you that your options and what you're looking for is out there. You just have to see it. You just have to create that use your creative mind and see those doors that are open. But if you're sitting there waiting for your luck fairy to come, you're not looking for that open door.
Motion versus action.
Yes. So that's why I don't like the idea of people say, "Oh, they just got lucky." I'm like, no. They saw that open door and they opened it and they worked hard and they got it.
Mm-hmm. Like I think there's like a small amount of just like luck that goes into it. That also kind of like, I'm also a faithful person and stuff, so I kind of do believe in the faithful luck fairy. But at the same time, like if you're just sitting in your living room pulling out fuzz out of the carpet, like nothing's gonna happen.
That's not true. You're gonna have a fuzzball. It's gonna be a great fuzzball that you worked really hard to make.
Its name is Bobby. It's my best friend.
My favorite thing for religious people is to say God helps those who help themselves. So
yeah, like and all throughout the Bible and stuff, there's stories where Jesus is just like he tells the parable about like giving the bags of a rich person like goes out of town and he tells his 3 servants and he gives them money and stuff, and he's just like, yeah, do stuff with it, I'll be back. And one dude like buries it in the sand, and like the 2 other guys like invest and do something and get kind of a little bit of a return. One gets more than the other and comes back, and the 2 guys are just like, here, I got like a little bit of money, and the other guy's like, I got a lot more. And the rich dude's just like, great, good job. And the 3rd servant comes over and is just like, yeah, here's your money, I didn't know what to do with it, so I buried it in the dirt. And the guy is just like kills him, takes his money and gives it to the other 2. And he's just like, if you're not going to do anything with it, you don't get shit.
Bible's great.
Yeah.
That is so brutal. Oh my god.
Dude, there's so much brutal stuff. Like there's the prophet Elijah sitting on the rock naked, and like these people from an evil king come over to talk to him, and they're just like, hey, yeah, a king wants to talk to him. And Elijah just goes, lightning, and lightning strikes them all down dead. Then another group comes over and they're like, hey, the king wants to talk to you. And Elijah just goes, lightning, and lightning strikes them all down dead. And then finally another group comes over and they're just like, yo, don't fry us. Like, we come in peace. We acknowledge your God. We acknowledge you. Do not lightning bolt us. And he's like, okay, I'll hear what you have to say. He's just like naked sitting on a rock being like, I'm going to call lightning. Watch me do it. Like, there's so much brutal stuff in there. I love the Bible.
That's some crazy ass stories in that Bible.
Yeah. But yeah, like even in the Bible, it's talking about like God tells people to go out and subdue the earth. Like you like, yeah, I've got magical luck fairy behind me, but I have to move for that to happen. And if I have a certain level of doubt, stuff's not going to happen. Like be in my unbelief. Like you've got to tackle your doubt. You've got to face your fears. You've got to face those walls. Even if there's one right after another, you got to punch through them. But I do believe there is a little bit of luck that goes in there, because certain people have like lucky situations where it's just kind of like right timing, right circumstance, right part of their life to be in, to have that catapult into their career.
Well, yeah, I mean, that happens, but you also have to be in a mindset to see it.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't, or they do see it, but they have doubts.
Mm.
And
Doubt
yeah,
is a bitch.
Yeah.
I personally try to fight Savannah's doubts all the time.
I'm working on it.
Good.
I am.
Good.
But it's hard right now, and like it's not helping my situation of creating stuff, because I just feel like I'm too much of a mental mess right now to even handle that.
Draw your mental mess.
I do. I guess that's what I need to do, is like just do stuff for me and not even worry about like showing anybody else, which I've already kind of done this week.
Yes.
But I'm gonna keep doing that.
That's what I do with my writing. I write the stories I want to tell and how I want to tell them, and like that's how I defeated the fear earlier this year and stuff. And it was like, oh my gosh, nobody's gonna love this. It's not good. It's horrible. It's awful. Like, and then like hearing Brandon Sanderson say, he's just like, once I started writing about like doing it because I loved it and I wanted to tell stories, I had a lot more fun with it, and that's when I actually got published. And it's just like yeah, Amanda gets it. It's like once you get into that zone of just doing it because you love it,
Mhm.
and because it's a way of loving yourself, like that's when stuff moves, even if it's ugly. Like the past month doing Darktober and stuff, like I did a whole bunch of like little like kind of little things and stuff, but it was a lot of fun just to have room to doodle and play.
Yeah.
And to allow myself that room.
I think, yeah, it's just, you know what? Just creating
this is
artwork.
A therapy episode.
Yeah.
Just all the therapy episodes.
Just creating artwork for yourself. It's just do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Just don't put any, if you're in the stage where you don't know, if you're at a stage where you're like not even creating artwork and you're like, ugh, everything is so, I can't even create right now. Just pretend that no one's ever going to see it and just do it for yourself. Make artwork for you. Burn it afterwards.
That's what you could do, because her therapist told her that she needed to do something for herself every day.
Here we are telling you, do it for me. Do it for yourself.
Yeah. You could draw like the stupidest picture for yourself and then go out in the backyard in your fire pit and burn the bitch.
Okay, that sounds good. I actually did that. No, I didn't burn it, but it's sitting in my sketchbook and I haven't shown anybody. I did that the other day. It was like, because like my first instinct, okay, we're going to talk about therapy now. We'll talk about therapy. I was like, so yeah, that was my assignment this week, is like do something for yourself every day. I'm like, fuck, I don't even know how to do this. So like the first thing I did was I bought myself something. And then like immediately I was like, fuck, this is bad. Because my mom, that's her love language. Like she doesn't ever say I love you, but she'll just buy you shit. And I'm like, I don't want to do that for myself because that reminds me of my mom. So then I skipped the second day because I didn't know what to do. And the third day I like drew a picture for myself, like drew like a sketch for myself that I wanted to do and didn't show it to anybody. And that's as far as I got.
Hey, you're doing it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, you have active motion.
Right, like I said, I'm working on it, but it like this whole thing is like it is kind of like you know, it brings a lot of bad crappy shit to the forefront that you haven't thought about in a really long time, and then it just kind of like, at least for me, that's what's happening, and it's totally like messed me up, and it's got me off my game a little bit. So yeah. But anyway, what's everybody working on this week?
Change of subject.
Look over there, a distraction.
What am I working on? I'm making that order for one of my wholesalers. Actually, I used to have a bunch of stores that bought for me for wholesaler, which I was even in the Whitney Museum in New York selling my art.
Ooh, girl.
I know.
A big deal.
I know. I used to send them like a shipment every month of more artwork to sell, and then I stopped because it was becoming too stressful and I was getting
Oh.
really depressed about it. So
Mhm.
I stopped doing it. My my mom actually went all the way to she didn't do it just for that. She just happened to be traveling to New York and went all the way to the Whitney Museum and bought a mug of mine and then put it in a shadow box for me with the receipt. I'm like, Mom, did you buy my own work and then give it to me as a gift? And she's like, yeah, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, thanks, Mom.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That is so
love-
sweet.
I love my mom. She's
Your mom
great.
sounds awesome. I love awesome moms. Like that's my. I just love them. I love awesome moms.
Yeah. Okay. So I love my mom, and she did her best at raising me, but every mom is a human being. And every mom has good and bad days, just like everyone has good and bad days. So a lot of times when I would, praise my mom a lot and people are like, I wish I had a mom like yours. I'm like, you know what? I tell you about all the great times. But, just like a human, she has bad days. She has good days. So
Let's
your
talk
mom,
about the time we got in a fist fight in the kitchen.
yeah. So I have a lot of friends who say like, oh, I wish I had your mom, or I wish my mom was as nice as yours. I'm like, I like to highlight the best parts of my mom, but that doesn't mean there wasn't bad parts.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's true with everybody's parents. I'm just no, I'm good. I don't want to trade or anything. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm used to the chaos I have, but I feel like nice, cute mom stories. Like, what about you, Russell? What's been up? What are you working on this week?
Oh.
Remember the question?
Nope. This happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Russell, do you remember the question? What are we doing? Where am I?
Are we doing a podcast right now? Whoa.
That happened to me. I was in 11th grade and I was in the school play, and me and this other character had the last like 6 to 3 lines and stuff. And in that exchange and stuff, she says her last line, and as she's saying it, I'm off. I am in another galaxy far, far away. I don't even like register that she's in front of me and stuff. I'm thinking about dinner. I'm thinking about anime. I'm thinking about video games. And I'm just standing there. And then like I come back to reality and I was like, why is she looking at me weird? And then she says her last line and the lights go dark. And I was just like, oh no. And I heard her footsteps walk off stage and I was like, she's fucking pissed.
Wow, Russell, that's like a legitimate nightmare that I have sometimes. Like not knowing my lines in a play.
That's so
and you fucking lived it.
I fucking lived it, and it just kind of happened, and I was just like, "Oh, oops, whatever." Walked off stage, went to the back of the cast, and I was like, "I'm sorry about that. I didn't remember where I was." And they're like, "How could you do that?" I'm like, "ADHD, bitch."
I mean, I feel like it's better to go through that experience and then realize, you know what, it wasn't that bad, than be afraid of it. It never happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
But what I'm working on is the NaNoWriMo thing. It's the first time that I'm actually doing it. So I'm doing longhand, and I have a certain amount of words that I usually do per page. So I'm averaging it out about like 200 to 250 words per page, just so that way I don't have to bust out the computer every time, because I just don't have space to have it out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something I don't want to do. And I can just have the notebook with me wherever. So that's what I'm working on. I'm also like doodling a lot more. I'm staying in that habit. That's a lot of fun. Doing a lot of work at work, making tile-ish stuff. Yeah. And outlining the book series, because I'm getting through my reread and edits. So I'm going to do an re-outline all 3 books, and then I'm going to sit down and rewrite the first book.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when is that due by? Because it's like a competition, right?
It's kind of like Inktober, Darktober stuff.
Oh, okay.
Where it's just like you write 50,000 words for the month of November.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was like you were gonna enter a competition, but this is cool too. Like just to get.
God, no. Like that would be great if like, because I've seen things where it's just like start entering more writing competitions, and it's a great way for you to like get used to rejection letters and for you to like have more practice as a writer and to also like win more competitions. Like the more you put yourself out there, the more you're going to win and get practice and feedback on how to be a better writer. And I was like, that sounds like fun for someone else.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's my shindegree. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go over some like creative stuff I've done this week because I don't feel like I've done a lot of art stuff. I think I finally convinced Bryce to hire a landscape like designer or architect or something to at least put together a plan for the backyard so it's not just a mess of like weeds and sadness. So I'm waiting to hear back on that, but I'm super excited. I've got like my house survey pulled up and like we've been watching like YouTube videos of like people with like amazing backyards, and suddenly I'm like, maybe we can have like an outdoor like kitchen with like a fireplace. And Bryce is like, we have a fire pit. I'm like, but a fireplace is different. And so like I've been trying to get him convinced, and I've almost got him there, like where we need like a fireplace like adjacent to our fire pit. Sketch some at work. Like usually like I only have to go in the office once a week now, but like I have an hour lunch and like the office is half abandoned as well for me, so I make sure to take my sketchbook and my iPad up there so that I can use that. Like once I'm done eating, I use the rest of my lunch to just like sketch stuff. So I did that this week. And I'm undecorating Halloween, so
Sad.
yeah, it is kind of sad. But Halloween for us has been up since August, like the end of August. So I feel like it had a good run. And we need to go ahead and just like take it down. And like I'm not jumping right into Christmas yet. Like I kind of gonna give myself like a breather before we pull that stuff down.
Really?
But yeah, are you surprised?
Usually you're just like, Halloween's down, Christmas is up.
I'm surprised too. I did not foresee this happening because usually we like take Halloween and we leave it up until after like Thanksgiving and then immediately it comes down. But I think that like instinctively I know like Thanksgiving is off the table this year.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to make a pun.
I feel like that's another reason why a lot of people are kind of having holiday blues, are kind of, you know, like not putting the effort in for holidays this year because they feel like it's just, why bother?
Yeah.
I get that, but I think for me, because like my house is kind of small, so it's not usually the family gathering place anyway. Like I usually decorate for myself anyway. So like that's what I'm like, okay, I'll just decorate Halloween for myself. I'll just decorate Christmas for myself, whatever. So yeah, that's something else we've been doing this week. Don't worry, it's not going to be too long. Christmas will be up here in a couple of weeks. I'll get tired of looking at like nothingness and I'll be like, nah, Christmas needs to happen.
Nice.
But yeah, like that's the kind of semi-creative stuff that I've been doing this week, and just like, I mean, that's it. I can't think of.
Just because it's not art doesn't mean it isn't creative.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell myself. I do stuff at work too, but work is so boring I don't want to talk about it.
And we also talk about what is art.
Whatever you feel like it is.
Oh, yep.
Are we going to have to come back to what is art? Because I feel like we didn't talk about enough. Like we recorded for it last weekend, and it went from like Dada to fascist control of art.
Oh man.
Like real
Like,
fast.
That was the beginning towards the end, and we all got done, and like for the rest of the day I was just kind of like, nobody.
Maybe that'll be like our anniversary episode. Like we'll have to like mark the date, and like once a year we'll get together and see like how we feel about art and what is it and what are we doing.
Art? Just do it every now and then, like art crime.
Yeah, just do it every now and then.
Yeah.
All right. Amanda, it was awesome to meet you.
Oh yay.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I loved talking to you. It was like super insightful. I love talking to like artists that are actually working and like producing and like I don't know, just artists in general. Like, I feel I don't have like enough artist friends. Like, I have some. Russell, don't look at me like that. You should just be happy I'm trying to make friends.
I am very happy. Or like the one time you're like, I don't like people who talk too much.
I did say that to Russell one time. He looked at me like I killed a puppy or something.
Or I don't trust people who talk too much.
That's what it was. Cool. I just meant like at first, like if you come at me and you talking all these words to me, I'm just like, who are you again? Like
he grew on you. Now it's okay.
Yeah. I find introverts like Pokemon. I've got to collect them all. I always find the introvert in the group, and I'm just like, hey, we're best friends now.
And I'm like, who are you again? No, I think it actually helped because we met through friends. Yes. So I already had like that bridge of like, oh, you must be cool. You're friends with my friend, so we're cool. I'm talking about like strangers off the street. Like if I'm in the line at the grocery store, why are you talking to me?
Because I like you. And also like our friendship started because we were trying to get to know each other so that way we could room together at an anime convention, because one of our mutual friends was just like, hey, is it okay if I invite this other person? I'm like, who the hell is that? They're like, all right, cool, let's like introduce each other. And so our friendship started at an anime convention.
That's
being
true.
Stupid with each other.
Sounds like a speed date. I was like, okay, we gotta get it done.
That's wild. All right. Well, all right. Thank you for listening to the Fanbrush podcast. Y'all enjoy the rest of your days.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Fanbrush podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. You can find us on Instagram at fanbrush.podcast. Until next time, keep creating. Bye.